Lissy. Anonymous letters keep coming, making Edith, Ross' friend, doubt life with constant, pointless abuse. Since the letters, Edith got 19. Her mom was so angry she could vibrate it like a toothbrush. Dad finally called the cops. The police had their eyes fixed on Ross. In this little beach town, he was the main suspect. I mean, the guy talks like he's on a joyride with no brakes. When the cops found Ross, he was at the bar living it up with his pals, and poof. He was whisked away to the police station for questioning. What a way to spoil a good time. At the station, Officer Moss worked. Back then, few respected female cops. At the station, Ross didn't care and felt no need to explain the anonymous letters. But until the investigation wrapped up, Moss had no time to hear Ross' defense. The very next morning, Edith marched right into the station to file. She gave the letters and evidence to the police, and their friendship ended abruptly, like pasta boiling in water. Ross' husband had died in the war. Before spring, having just moved from Ireland, Ross felt comically out of place, but soon became great friends with neighbour Edith. Years later, Ross found her current husband and lived happily, though not wealthy. But Edith knew Ross had several secret romances before. In Edith's eyes, it wasn't until Ross married her current husband that she realised she needed to be a respected lady, but Edith's whole family was made up of devout Christians. Edith even fancied herself a missionary for Ross, eager to help her find a fresh start, and enthusiastically invited her to the Christian father-daughter card party. The carefree Ross didn't care at all, deeming it too boring. Meanwhile, Edith came from a scholarly family with strict discipline. Subtitles, she earnestly recounted her ties with Ross to the officer, his face grave, but he was biased. Gossip was swirling through the town, and the male officer thought Ross clearly had her motives. Even though Officer Moss disagreed, Ross was pretty heated. "You're making me look like some hot-headed kid with a boiling brain." This claim is similar to anonymous letters, and the female officer is ignored by her chief. After years of Ross' antics in the town, the chief and the male officers unanimously concluded it had to be. The next day, she was taken to court, charged with numerous malicious letters. What a blunder. The judge demanded death-free bail or a month or two in jail. Ross, too poor to pay, refused and reminded her husband to take care of home. Although Ross acted like a wild card outside, seeing those prison guards gave her a serious case of the jitters. Officer Moss found suspicious inconsistencies. Ross' handwriting differed from the letters. The chief ignored her, and Officer Blue even mocked her. Ross was just a fresh out of college gal. Her dad, being a cop, didn't save her from the usual female biases, so Moss was left tackling small cases. She vowed not to be a bitter chief, canvassing tirelessly. She hoped to find a gal who would help Edith, but it felt like a reach. All she wanted was to ensure the girl's safety, but her thoughts were all tangled up. During her grueling canvassing, Moss hoped to find evidence that would benefit Ross, and she ended up at Edith's house. But Edith merely expressed pity for Ross' plight. Her mom was utterly indifferent. As for Edith's dad, he just showed disgust towards Moss. While heading to church, Moss bumped into Edith's pals. Edith felt like she had just come from hell but was still holding her head high. Her friends had mixed responses. Wilbur figured Ross wasn't the culprit. Even though she got locked after the trial, he believed there was more to the story. In no time, everyone started arguing in the church like a tsunami hit, and the bickering didn't stop. Everyone had their own thoughts, and Ross shot a help letter to Officer Moss. She wasn't dumb enough to undervalue her reputation. The townsfolk were just suspicious of her because she was an outsider. Seriously, she left Ireland for her daughter Nancy, not for herself, and had zero reasons to risk it by writing mean letters. She hoped Moss would help her, but Officer Moss turned her down to stick to police protocol. While Moss refused in her letter, she secretly took Ross' investigation records. Plot twist alert. Ross didn't expect Wilbur and his friend to sell their sick pig referee to bail her out. Subtitles. Ross, who had just been released on bail, was utterly astonished. Despite her outwardly nonchalant demeanor, she was overflowing with deep gratitude for these two kind-hearted friends in her heart. The trio joyfully trotted home, and as soon as they walked in, they found Nancy strumming her guitar. Ross' return home always had a unique flair. Edith watched all this unfold. Lately, The anonymous letter fiasco had caused a ruckus, and being the victim, she became the town's celebrity talk about mayhem. Edith was flustered by it all, considering she lived with her strict father. Subtitles. She was hoping to reconcile with Ross and expressed to the priest her wish for Ross to attend the church service. But Ross shut her down without a second thought, and that was the last chapter for them. But hold on, the hostility in this town didn't quit. Even Edith's dad received an anonymous letter, such a heart-wrencher. Everyone in town acquainted with Ross was getting anonymous letters too. That was just too much. Most letters were downright crude, with some snarky ones thrown in. The malice just went up, even reaching the ears of the Home Secretary. These malicious letters ran rampant, causing widespread distress among the townsfolk, utterly frustrated. Subtitles. Direct victims soared to over 100. Home Secretary called it a national disgrace. Families held different views on Ross' innocence or guilt, and she ultimately withstood public pressure. She took the initiative to seek help from Officer Moss, because she knew only she believed Ross was innocent. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. More fantastic content is waiting for you.